This is News 4 In Depth.
They just told me it's a bunch of teenage kids, and this is known all throughout Texas, and there's nothing that they could do about it.
Youth crime is on the rise across the country, including right here in our own backyard.
We're also seeing most recently that they're becoming more organized.
It's not just the increase in cases that has local officials concerned, but the age of the offenders.
It's anywhere from 10-year-olds that are out here burglarizing.
We take a deep dive into the alarming rates, the crimes they're committing, and how local authorities are cracking down.
How are these kids falling through the cracks?
Plus, solutions from the community to reverse the trend.
One more kid in here working, doing something positive is one less second they're out there on the streets.
News 4 In Depth, youth crime in San Antonio, starts right now.
Welcome to News 4 San Antonio In Depth.
For the next 30 minutes, we'll take a deep dive into youth crime here in San Antonio. We'll look at the trends, what police are doing to combat crime, and how the community and you can help.
And we do begin tonight with the latest numbers on youth crime trends here in San Antonio and Bexar County. San Antonio police tell us in the first half of this year, nearly 600 juveniles between 10 and 16 years old have been arrested. And for all of 2022, almost 900 were arrested in San Antonio, which is up nearly 700 in 2021. The Bexar County Juvenile Probation Department is also seeing an uptick in juveniles referred to them. We broke down the crime trends comparing January through June of 2022 with the same time period in 2023, focusing on violent crimes and the most common nonviolent felonies that youth are accused of committing. Robberies are up 10% from 59 to 65. Aggravated assaults have increased 23% from 126 to 155. Weapons violations have also gone up from 15 to 28, which is an 87% increase. Lastly, vehicle thefts have exploded 224%, going from 34 to 110. It's also worth noting murder, sexual assaults, and burglaries are down among youth here in our county. Overall, nearly 1,100 juveniles have been referred to Bexar County Juvenile Probation on felony violations in the first 6 months of this year. That's a 37% jump from the same time in 2022.
Recent crime reports involving youth have spanned every side of the city. A teen was arrested accused of attacking a woman outside of an apartment gym on the northwest side near I-10 in Wurzbach. On the southwest side, 2 teens were arrested for driving recklessly and injuring a deputy and a canine. Oftentimes, children are caught in the line of fire. 3 children were shot during a drive-by shooting in broad daylight off of Eisenhower Road. Also on the northeast side, a teen boy was shot in the arm by a stray bullet.
The Bexar County Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office are also seeing a very alarming trend. The new face of car burglars, kids as young as 10 years old. We rode around with the Sheriff's Office on the graveyard shift when they say young criminals are stealing guns left in cars in driveways, often left unlocked. A lot of the thefts are happening in one of the fastest growing areas of the city, Alamo Ranch on the far west side.
A lot of the recent deputy-involved shootings that we've had over the past couple of years, many high-profile cases that we've seen over the last couple of years. A stolen gun has been a very prominent factor in those cases, and unfortunately, once we backtrack and find out where that gun came from, it was stolen in a vehicle burglary.
Deputies say these young criminals often get their ideas from social media challenges.
Children as young as 10 years old are also stealing and destroying cars across San Antonio, and the whole process has been documented right on Instagram.
Jordan Elder with the News 4i team found out how juvenile courts are handling this trend and why police say they need more help to solve these cases.
Fires, street stunts, and destruction. The social media challenge known as Kia Boys has made its way to San Antonio streets, showing people how to steal your car without access to your keys.
I was horrified.
This is Erica, a San Antonio resident who became a victim of this challenge in February.
I rely on my car 100%.
She asked that we not show her face for fear she'd be targeted again.
Yeah, I was just completely freaking out.
When police found out her car was a Kia, she says they immediately knew it was stolen.
They just told me it's a bunch of teenage kids, and this is known all throughout Texas, and it's nothing that they could do about it.
A crushing message for someone who fully relies on their vehicle.
Not only do I go back and forth to work with it, but I do DoorDash, Instacart, so I needed that extra money to get back and forth.
Her car was found about an hour later.
The steering column was damaged completely. It could barely drive.
But what really stuck with her The thieves' Instagram handles scribbled on her roof.
Oh, they're just on some catch me if you can thing and taunting the police.
Not everyone is lucky enough to get their car back. They're often found in pieces, if they're found at all.
It's broken down from violent and nonviolent offenders.
So far this year, juvenile court judge Cruz Shaw says he's seen a huge increase in teens standing in his courtroom for car theft.
But we're also seeing most recently that they're becoming more organized. It's more sophisticated than it used to be.
Why do you think that is?
I think kids are getting smarter. I think with social media and the trends, the ability to communicate without really communicating. Things have changed.
Officials say groups of teens will get into one car and head to places like malls, grocery stores, or schools. Everyone gets out and rushes to steal a car and then get away. And this may only take a matter of minutes.
Well, some kids are being caught with, 50 to 100 fobs in their pocket because they know they can get into a car using those fobs.
Shaw says teens may do this for money or notoriety. The San Antonio Police Department declined multiple requests for an interview, but Chief William McManus told city leaders he needs more help in the vehicle theft unit.
18 folks for 1.5 million population, it's just not enough.
In the first 3 months of this year, car thefts were up almost 60% in San Antonio. Erica and other victims of these crimes are calling for more action from police and prosecutors.
Like, punish them. That's what we're paying our tax dollars for anyway.
And for the people posting these videos.
They always post it, and we see it, and they're brought back in to have to suffer the consequences.
Here in San Antonio, Chief McManus told city leaders they're expecting an analysis of where more officers are needed. And he said he wouldn't be surprised if vehicle theft is at the top of that list. For the News 4i team, I'm Jordan Elder.
Just this week, we learned San Antonio police will be handing out steering wheel locks to people whose Hyundai cars have been stolen as part of these trends. But because there's a limited amount, Hyundai owners are the only people eligible for the locks, at least right now. You can also get car alarms, video cameras, or buy your own wheel locks to help keep thieves away.
The threats to local school districts are on the rise. Numbers from Southwest Fusion Center show local school threats have tripled over the past 2 school years. The threats are mostly coming through social media from students as young as elementary school, and it's impacting nearly every single school district. Officials say even when the threat turns out to be a hoax, it is a strain on law enforcement resources, and the emotional toll carries over into the classroom.
You're contributing to that culture of fear that exists in those schools and is very real.
We're told kids do get education about what happens if they make a threat, but the sheriff urges parents to bring it up too. School threats, a series of school lockdowns, and students bringing guns on campus led to Bexar County launching a school safety task force. They presented the plan to parents and students earlier this year. It includes patrolling certain schools and a bigger presence on campus. Sheriff Salazar says their goal is to prevent weapons from getting onto those campuses.
We did reach out to SAPD to find out how they're addressing youth crime. They declined our request for an interview, but did send us a statement, and it reads in part, quote, although there are no stats to attribute to the trends in youth crime, we know that youth partake in a multitude of crimes. We encourage parents to take part in their children's lives. Parents should know who their kids are communicating with on a daily basis via their phone and internet, their friends, and where they are at all times. SAPD also provided examples of programs they offer to prevent delinquency. You can read all about them in the department's full statement right now on our website, news4sa.com.
The city and UTSA criminal justice researchers have teamed up with a crime reduction plan. We told you about the first phase, hotspot policing, when it began earlier this year. Police identified crime hotspots around San Antonio and then assigned officers to sit visibly with lights flashing times of day when there is more crime. In the first 2 months, UTSA analysts say they found violent crime had gone down in those hotspots by about 25%. That was compared to the same time last year. The crime reduction plan has 2 more steps. Next is a midterm strategy that will intensely focus on violent places in the city, addressing underlying causes. Now, the final step will be a long-term strategy, helping repeat violent offenders with intervention and offering services, things like job training. UTSA is also taking a look at 2 specific programs, neighborhood safety and case processing. We're told both of those projects will be presented to City Council in August. Now, some say the plan may not hit on the root issues.
If you don't eliminate the 4 barriers, which is housing, food, transportation, and financial stability, meaning a career or a job, then it's going to be hard to change the mindset of individuals in the community.
Tut says community programs exist to help with this, and he urges the city to use them.
Welcome back to News 4 In Depth as we examine youth crime happening across San Antonio. Many in the community are taking action to end this trend. Big Mama's Safe House is one local nonprofit on a mission to reduce gun violence. Benny Price is also meeting with local leaders, hoping for more support.
City has gotten behind it somewhat. I just think that it has to be more of an investment to reduce the gun violence. We went to our leaders in the city, and they did give us some funding, but we just feel like that the investment that's needed to reduce the gun violence hasn't been made by the city.
Now, another local organization also working to reverse the violent trends. Hubert Brown is a credible messenger with Stand Up SA. It's a Metro Health initiative focused on stopping violence here in our city. As the owner of Ball Hogs Barbecue, he hires teens, which keeps him busy and off the streets.
This job has really taught me to have some dedication and help me focus, some work ethic as well to keep me out of trouble.
24 credible messengers cover San Antonio in just 1 year. They've actually stopped more than 100 violent incidents.
We found several other community programs to help youth and their families. Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Texas provides regular positive adult support from mentors. The Boys and Girls Club of San Antonio has 6 standalone clubhouses and multiple after-school sites for children to have fun, and it's a safe place to be a kid. During the school year, Clarity Child Guidance Center hosts monthly classes for parents. Guardian House provides counseling for all ages, individuals, couples, and families, and some programs are free. The YWCA offers low-cost childhood education and after-school care, but they are also a ready-to-work site.
A rise in youth crime seems to be a problem nationwide.
But some statistics illustrate otherwise. Despite some recent upticks, violent crime has generally been on the decline since the early 1990s. According to the FBI and Justice Department statistics, the violent crime rate today is about half of what it was 30 years ago. And the number of minors arrested for violent crimes has fallen nearly 80% since 1994. Media experts point to news reports and social media as slanting public opinion.
Human beings are creatures of emotion, not creatures of logic. And when they see clips on TV of, gangs going into a department store and stealing massive amounts of things and cars getting smashed, that strikes a chord emotionally.
National data found catalytic converter thefts and car thefts are up while carjackings are down.
Thanks for joining us for our News 4 In Depth.
We're here for you when it comes to the issues that really matter to you. What are your solutions for combating youth crime? Keep the conversation going on our Facebook page. You can also watch this newscast and all of our in-depth newscasts on the News 4 SA YouTube channel.